They're here if you're looking for them. The millennials are here, and I'm not going to blame you for social media because it's actually my fault. I didn't invent it, but it's my generation's fault. So we're not going to blame millennials today because we've got the rest of the year to do that. So I'm going to talk about some social shifts, but they're kind of also mobile shifts and they're sort of collaborative shifts because I think that mobile has become a force multiplier, hasn't it, for social media? So years ago we stood around, we looked at these applications and we're like, well, who's going to do anything useful with that? And then mobile came along and now we're spending most of our online time is on a mobile device. And most of that is on an app. And so all of this is finally sort of converged. So this isn't going to be about how to use Twitter to be more productive at work, because you're not using Twitter at work to be productive. We know that. We're going to talk more about how these platforms enable some kind of key changes that are coming to HR. First one I want to talk about is MOOCs. Who's got a MOOC? Anybody got a MOOC? I don't mean a Guernsey cow. Anybody got a MOOC? No? Okay, a MOOC is a massive open online course. Massive meaning that you can have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. There are courses with more than 300,000 people enrolled in them. They're open. There's no prerequisite to get into these things except an internet connection, and in some cases you need to have a credit card. But many of them are free. I took one last week. It was $28. This week it's only $14, so I'm thinking it perhaps wasn't that good. But so Coursera, Khan Academy, most of their stuff is free. Lynda.com, you sign up for a subscription. So you can learn almost anything. We're not talking learning annex crochet lessons, okay? These are real courses, accredited courses. Many of them are from universities. A good example, Yahoo used to send its engineers off to Stanford every year to re-up on their technical skills and whatever it is they do there. And they teamed up with Coursera a couple of years ago. They offer the same courses by the same professors with the same certifications for under $100 each, and no one has to go anywhere. So I think these days of the $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 trainers coming into your workplace and training everybody up on things are really very numbered. I mean, I know there are things that you have to learn hands-on, but I think that an awful lot of this is shifting to back to the workplace. And so these are real courses. You have to do homework. You have to collaborate with other people. And this is an interesting way that social is working into it. Some companies are creating their own MOOCs. AT&T created one. They put a whole bunch of their people through it. They had 80% completion rate, which was a little higher than traditional courses. And they had retention rates that were the same or better than traditional courses. Aquint, anybody heard of Aquint? They're a staffing firm. They staff creative people. What they did with their 8,000 employees was they built their own MOOC called Gymnasium, and they offer free training in all of the relevant disciplines to their employees. So it not only gives them more stickiness and more retention of these employees, but it gives them clear line of sight into who knows what. So they know exactly what's in those courses. Gymnasium cost them $150,000 to build, and in 2 years it paid back 10 times. So these are real things. About 44% of companies are using them in the States, and there's a little bit less in Canada, 29%. Does anybody want to guess what the #1 barrier to a MOOC is inside a corporation? Anybody at all? It might have something to do with the $150 billion training industry. Yeah, 44% of companies report that it is their own corporate training department that is saying no to MOOCs. After that, it's the IT department, can't think why. And then it moves down. Only about 25% of companies report that their employees have any trouble at all going online with the Guernsey cow and learning. So MOOCs are very important, and one of the important things about MOOCs, and one of the reasons that they're more popular now than they were a few years ago, because they're not using technology that's particularly new, is because they depend on social media for the students to collaborate. So most MOOCs, if they don't have their own little collaboration platform, will use a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group, a Google Hangout, so they'll spin up these little groups. And these people who are taking these MOOCs are collaborating just as you would in a traditional course. They're doing their little work groups and they're putting together their assignments and they're working through the program. And when they're leaving, they're not just leaving with a certification and a bunch of new skills, they're leaving with a much larger personal and professional network. And that is very important to our next topic, which is around recruiting. Now, does anybody know what industry is first through the gate when a new technology comes to the market? Anybody want to guess? What industry is always first out?
Porn.
Porn, thank you. And guess who's second? Recruiting. There's no relationship there. Are there any recruiters in the room? Because I'm about to make you feel bad. So recruiters will tell you, well, I've been on social forever. And it's true, they have been putting want ads on LinkedIn and Facebook for ages, for over 10 years, first through the door. But I would suggest to you that when we ran an ad in the newspaper, You got 100 crummy resumes. You put it on Facebook or LinkedIn, you get 1,000 crummy resumes. Put it on Twitter, you get 10,000 crappy resumes. So I don't know that social media has actually helped all that much with recruiting, but it's about to. And the reason it's about to is big data. And we've had a couple of people talk about big data and their relationships with math, and I am very sorry. And has anyone heard of Guild? Anyone using Guild? Guild has a really, really interesting thing that they do. They crawl around the recesses, the very end of the social network, and they look for people with very specific skills and experiences. So if you're looking for an engineer who develops in some obscure platform, you're not going to find them on LinkedIn by yourself. Guild will dig them out of some chat room at the far end of a Tumblr blog where they posted something once 10 years ago. So what Guild does is it mines the internet for these very specific skills and experiences, and then it feeds that data back. And so I think recruiters are going to be finding a lot more of that kind of data because there aren't enough millennials, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to hit a huge labor shortage. Anybody here having a problem filling roles now? If you're not, you will be. Intello and TalentBin, they're an interesting group. They're also using big data, and what they're doing is they're looking for the passive job seekers. They're looking for those people who haven't quite admitted, maybe even to themselves, that they're not that happy at work, and they're thinking of making a move. So what they're doing is they're watching for people doing things like updating their profile on LinkedIn, following a lot more people on Twitter, making friends with recruiters online. All those things are little tells that these are people about to look for new work. And what they're doing is they're, again, aggregating that data. So in not very long, you'll be able to go out and say, give me a list of 50 engineers with these skills who are a little unhappy at work this week. Maybe they didn't get a feed forward thing. And the truth is that that's going to become more and more important because we are facing a big talent shortage in Canada. And companies are already, Aon actually did a great study in March, I recommend you download it. And they're already feeling that it's impacting their performance, is their inability to recruit. So I think recruiting is about to get massive. And the other thing that happens, of course, is how many of you have employee referral programs for roles at work? None of you? Yeah, how are they working? Not that well. No, they're not, because I don't know that we're yet leveraging the power of social networks. I think we go, oh, come to our website and apply for a job, and if you know somebody at our company, put in their name and they'll get $1,000 if you survive 3 months. That's not all that compelling. Where recruiting is now going is it's going, not just mobile, it's going mobile app. So I'll give you a good example. Sodexo built a mobile app for the recruiting. In the first year, they got 2,000 applicants. They hired 140 of them. They saved $300,000 in recruiting fees. All the recruiters in the room are going, oh, I'm going to get a new job. They saved $300,000 in recruiting fees. So just mobile enabling your website for recruiting isn't going to be enough. It needs to be something that picks up on the power of social media and lets these millennials, these relentlessly online tweeting machine millennial people, all right, I promise I won't blame you. It lets them seamlessly share it. It lets them go into their networks and say, hey, here's a job for you, and here's an easy way to apply for it. How many of you have applied for a job online in the last year? How many of you would like those 3 hours back, filling in that stupid Taleo form? And I apologize if anyone here works for whoever did that to us. So yeah, so we're about to get a whole lot better at receiving and finding the right candidates for our roles. And the final thing that I want to talk about, the final change I think that's being driven is in collaboration. How many of you have giant flip charts covered in Post-it notes, stacked one on top of the other, rolled up real tight, held with an elastic, and shoved behind your filing cabinet in your office? How many of you have a few of those? I am convinced that in 6,000 years, when all of this is dust, some archaeologist is going to haul these things out. They're going to go, my God, it's the Dead Sea Scrolls. And boy, do I feel sorry for the one who figures out that even we didn't know what they meant when we shoved them under the filing cabinet. Collaboration is also getting a whole lot better. And I was quite interested in Dr. Q's talk about massively human, because I think that some of the collaboration stuff that's going on now is maybe going to enable that massive humanity, or maybe it's just going to crush us all under a robot overlord. I'm not really sure, but I get to retire and it's your problem to deal with it. What's happening now is, how many of you have some kind of a collaboration platform at work? You have Yammer, you have Chatter. Good, yeah. It's coming. You should get one. Build your own. Accenture built its own, but many are using Slack or Chatter, or Facebook Business now has a collaboration tool. So it's coming. And the magic about them is that they let your people get together across time and space. Yay. We can do that with a conference call and email. But they're much more real time, and the best part is they give us big data. they become data points. And I think the tools will be coming in the next few years, basically for HR to eavesdrop on the entire conversation going on in their organizations. And that's important because I think that we get a lot of really good data out of that. What we can get out of that is some of the stuff that we heard about performance reviews, right? So we're getting rid of performance reviews. How many of you have scrapped the annual performance review? How many of you would like to take it out back and shoot it? Yeah. So Adobe just got rid of its performance reviews. Went to continuous coaching, continuous feedback, feed-forward kind of model, and they use their collaborative networks to do that, and HR uses those networks to make sure that that conversation is happening, because the problem with getting rid of performance reviews is some managers simply stop talking. So we want to make sure that, and they saved 80,000 management hours by getting rid of the performance reviews and moving the conversation online. Because I think that what happens over time and what enables organizations to really work at a massive scale is by listening in on all of these conversations, by watching all of this collaboration, you get to see the canaries in the coal mine. You can find those teams that are maybe not performing quite as well as they should. You can find resource gaps. You can find skill gaps. You can find those hidden heroes who are maybe just rocking it and nobody would otherwise know, except by watching how they're acting in all of these conversations. So I think that we're going to be basically able to listen at scale, which I think is actually very, very exciting, and one of the things that these social media platforms bring to us. UPS, for example, they listen at scale with Twitter, and they chose that platform because all of their employees, especially the ones on the road, knew already how to use Twitter. So they use Twitter to listen in on conversations, look for problems, proactively solve problems, and reach out in real time to their employees. So I will end here with the shift is going to hit the fan, so you can either open an umbrella or you can just get naked and let it hit you. I suggest the latter, but not now. And because it's going to be massive, it's mobile driven, everything is going to be driven off mobile platforms, it's highly collaborative, it's highly productive, but it's ultimately highly social. And so I hope that builds a better workplace for us. The one that I'm imagining is better, and I think that it will be massively human. And I thank you very much for your attention right before lunch.